Coming through my public, Saras ya above Saras. This is Raashii by your side to make your concepts clear. And with this, today we are going to be starting a video which will focus on key difference between reserves and provision. First of all, we must know what are reserves, and later we'll know about what is provision. Okay, so reserves are of two types: free reserves and specific reserve. Examples of free reserves are general reserve, revenue reserve, P&L credit, dividend equalization reserve. Whereas examples of specific reserves are capital redemption reserve, debenture redemption reserve, securities premium, capital reserve, investment fluctuation reserves. Okay, so reserves are of two types: free reserves and specific reserves. Under free reserves we have them, and under specific reserves we have them. In this matter, in this distinguish, basically we are going to be learning about difference between we are going to be learning about difference between reserves and provision. But in this reserves, we are only be considering free reserves, because specific reserves have properties or features which are different. Okay, so let's get started. First of all, before going to the distinction part, I want you all to get grips with the concept of reserves. First of all, reserves is appropriation of profit. It is not a charge. It is not a charge. Means reserves are created only when we have profits, which means no profit is equal to no reserve. Here we are specifically talking about free reserve, so in accordance to that, it is appropriation of profit, that is distribution of profit. It is not an expense. Okay, it is distribution of profit. It is not a charge, not a charge. In fact, it is appropriation of profit, which is distribution of profit. Means reserves is created only when we have profits and not before that. So that means it is not an expense. And so, since it is not an expense, and so it is not debited to P&L account. So where it gets debited, it is actually created using P&L appropriation account, which is P&L profit distribution account. Journal entry with this goes as P&L appropriation account debit to, for example, we are creating general reserve, so general reserve, and so this is known as free reserve. Journal entry to it. So first of all, it is appropriation of profit. It is not a charge. It is created only when we gain profit and not without having profit. Okay, so first, it is created only when we have profit. It is debited to P&L account. It is not a charge. So it is not an expense. Instead, it is appropriation. Second, reserves, basically and more precisely, free reserves are created for any uncertain event or contingency that may arise in future. It is not specifically for any specific purpose. It can be for any random purpose, and it is so created because it is one of our conservative principle in accounting: record for all the anticipated loss. So here the business think that they might incur a loss or there might happen something, so they are prudent, they are conservative beforehand, they are well prepared for the future, and so they have created a reserve so that if in future any contingencies that may arise, they have available funds with them to meet that contingency. So first of all, it is for an uncertain event where the event for what it is created is not certain. It is known as reserve. And so, because it keeps some specific amount or fund aside for future contingency, it helps to strengthen the financial position. So, another thing you must ask me, is it mandatory to create it? No, it is not mandatory, because it's upon you. If you think that you may incur any loss, or it may happen something that you may suffer something uncertain in future, you may create it. It's upon you. It's whether you may create or you may not create. It's upon you. So, it's not mandatory as per any law. Will these reserves be able to act for distribution of dividend? Yes, free reserves are available for distribution of dividend. To our shareholders. What is reserves? And now with this, I want to tell you that reserves, since you have understood all its features, what is reserves? Reserves is accumulated profit, or you can also say undistributed profits, created with a flowchart. Will go created for any, not specific, any future contingencies not compulsory, created by debiting P&L appropriation account, as it is not compulsory, no? So it's basically a distribution of profit. So it's not a charge, and can be used in distribution of dividend. And another thing you must know that, where is it shown? Where is it shown? See, you must know that final accounts is prepared in this flow. P&L first, manufacturing account, second trading account, third P&L account, then P&L appropriation account, then balance sheet. So, since journal entry for reserves is P&L appropriation account to general reserve, this is shown in this account. After P&L which is made, which is P&L appropriation account, it is debited to it, and general reserve is shown in the liability side of balance sheet. So first, debit to P&L appropriation, because reserves are only created when we have profits. So after P&L account is made, when we get to know that we have earned the profit, and credit liability side. Okay? And where in liability side? Addition to capital. So this is all about reserves. Tomorrow we are going to be learning about provisions, and then I'll show you the key distinction between reserves and provisions. So next video of mine will be on provision, and then I'll compare both of them together. I hope you all understood. In case of any doubts, just let me know.